I feel the need for speed. Ow!
Hello and welcome. This week we're going to shift gears a little bit and talk about objective personality. We're going to start with the big synopsis of it, and then we're going to focus on the human needs and how it relates to this channel. So before we get into specifically objective personality as a system, what is personality in terms of psychology? I know that a lot of times we're using that term personality and we might say something like, I'm the shy person, I'm the funny person, I'm the serious person. When we're talking about personality in this format, we're talking about something bigger than those kind of descriptors. In basic layman's terms, psychology looks at personality as the way someone thinks, feels, and behaves. So when we talk about personality here, we're going to be referring to that bigger definition of personality. Objective personality system was the brainchild of Dave and Shan, who created, curated, narrowed down, and combined different theories that are out already in personality psychology, as well as added some additional aspects. They have a YouTube channel, a website, and they offer a class where they share their knowledge and their understandings and theories. In school, I would have my students come up with a one-liner summary of what the content is. And it's very hard, and I will say that I did prepare for this. Otherwise, I would just be sitting here like, objective personality is a system that identifies and explains the imbalances in our life that are created based on where we place the majority of our focus, and then in turn, areas where we neglect. And that is compared over a spectrum of people, and then also what is a reoccurring problem that we have in our life. So the subjectivity of other systems, MyersBriggs, part of it is, of course, the popularity of MyersBriggs is it's so easy to get an answer. It's so easy to take a test and say, oh, guess what? This is what I am. But a lot of times, how we feel we are is not exactly reality. So here are 4 ways that a self-reporting system adds subjectivity to the results. First of all, we don't see ourselves accurately. How I think I am coming across may not be exactly how I'm coming across, or what I want to be. That's a lot of times what happens. I'm going to be answering these questions because this is what I want to be.
How could this happen to me?
Versus this is what reality is. Now, secondly, we lie to ourselves. That is something I've experienced firsthand in talking to you guys. I'm lying to myself and telling myself this is what's happening when in reality is something else. And I'm not seeing it because maybe I don't want to see it. Thirdly, we don't really see the spectrum. We see what we experience. And for us, it feels real and it feels like it's at 100%. But in reality, if we were to see the spectrum of people, we would really place ourselves at, well, okay, maybe I'm really a 15%, because when I see somebody that's at a 75%, it's like, whoa, okay, maybe I'm not really all in on whatever this aspect is. I might think that I'm the shyest, quietest person in the entire world, and I will report I'm quiet, I'm shy, I don't like to talk. But then all my friends and family are like, what are you saying? Because in reality, you talk nonstop and we cannot get you to shut up. So we have that. So ultimately, we are just not a reliable source when it comes to ourselves. We see things in a very skewed manner. We see things that are not there. We avoid things that are there. And ultimately, it's also not good to base things on behavior. In just focusing on behavior, you are neglecting motivation, which is the cause for the behavior. So you could have 2 people, and those 2 people have the same behavior where they avoid going outside for whatever reason. But they might have 2 different reasons or 2 different motives for avoiding to go outside. Objective personality, just like the title says, is trying to remove that subjectivity out of the equation. we're wanting to look at very objectively across the spectrum. Where does this person fit? How are their motives involved in their behavior? And if you remember, my very rudimentary definition from psychology includes behavior, but really the behavior is rooted in motive. Motives are what's going to differ between people based on how they're thinking and feeling about a particular instance. And so in personality systems, a lot of times we focus on observations that are being made and decisions. And so with that, you get a very complete picture of a person that we have both external and internal observations and decisions that are being put together to form a behavior, an action or response. So now off to the human needs. The human needs is a layer that has been added to the personality system because connections were seen between Tony Robbins and his human needs and the cognitive functions by Carl Jung. In just a second, we'll kind of look at what those connections look like. But first of all, let's just get a general understanding of what the human needs are according to objective personality. So we have 4 human needs: identity, tribe, organize, and gather. Before I get into like the details, I want to say that everyone has everything, everyone can do everything, everyone desires all 4 of those, but what ends up happening is that 2 of them become the major focus and 2 of them the minor focus. So think about it in terms of when you're getting your major in college, you spend a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of effort in your major. And sometimes you might have a minor, and in the minor, frankly, sometimes you get a minor without even having to do anything. It just happens because of the particular classes you took or whatever. Or sometimes you do put some effort into getting a minor, but essentially you're spending way more time focused on your major and not a lot of time or energy focused on the minor. So we have 4 human needs, but only 2 of them are going to be your major and 2 of them will be a minor focus. And we'll kind of look to see how it's broken up. So with identity is focused on who you are. Again, everyone has that need, but there are some people that are focused more on who you are versus the tribe human need, which would be who others need. So between those 2, one of them would be your major focus, one of them will be your minor focus. Another big idea, as you see from my table, is the idea that each one of these human needs can lead to pleasure or pain. Or another way to think of it is where you find comfort versus where you find discomfort. In those 2 items, identity is leading to recognition and tribe is leading to validation from the tribe. Thinking about the differences between recognition versus validation, I feel like they sound very similar. But if you take a look at the nuances between them, I would say the difference stems from whether the source is internal versus external. I think a good way to describe it is like here we have a puzzle that is getting put together. Recognition would be the shiny, sparkly puzzle piece that is attracting everybody to it. Then we have the regular puzzle piece that kind of is maybe one of the last pieces and it just fits perfectly right in there and it makes the picture complete. So those are the 2 different ways to look at it. I am being recognized for being the shiny, sparkly puzzle piece, or I am being validated for filling in that gap in that puzzle. So bringing it back to our channel here, you may have noticed that we are focused on identity. The reason being is that I have been focused a lot on tribe, and maybe you have too. You focused a lot on the tribe needs and the tribe validation. Okay, so back to the table again, looking at the very last column, we have pain, or what we're trying to avoid. So in the case of identity is trying to avoid tribe hate and all that comes with it. And then for tribe, the pain is found in not feeling valued or useful by the tribe. So going back to the image of the puzzle, so if that sparkly, shiny puzzle piece comes out and everybody looks at it and says, ew, we don't want that, then there's some tribe hate there that the identity person is trying to avoid. And then we also have tribe. You have the puzzle piece that is maybe not fitting quite right. And the people are like, ew, why are you not fitting? You're not helping this situation whatsoever. And if the goal is always to find comfort, as a species, we're trying to move towards and focus on the comfort, then that discomfort, you'll do anything in your power to avoid that discomfort. So it might be that you avoid the tribe because you don't want their hate. Or it might be that you change yourself to fit the tribe because you want to be useful. So those are the differences between those two. So for the last two, we have organize versus gather. That is another set. I should stop and say that when we're talking about a set, in objective personality, we call it a coin. So on one side, I have organize, and on the other side, I have gather. And so they form a coin because they're opposites. Organize, if you think about what that means just in general, you're just taking what you know and what you have and kind of putting it in order, versus gather, which means you're looking for new things to bring in. So that would be another coin. So with organize, I would describe it as you want control over your life, versus gather, you want freedom to explore. So those kind of sound similar, but the ultimate difference is organize is focused on what is certain, what is known, being assured of what is there. So therefore, it is avoiding the pain of chaos and unknown situations or ideas or thoughts. Then you have the flip side of gather, which is wanting the freedom to explore new things, new ideas. So you get pleasure or comfort from seeking new stimuli and new adventure. And just new. New is a good word to describe gather, and known is a good word to describe organize. Again, if we're looking at what is being avoided, you want to avoid feeling being controlled or stifled. So if I were to kind of give an example of this, if I want organize as one of my major focuses, then I'm going to avoid new situations. I'm going to look within to find the known information of what I know, and I'm going to trust that. And then for gather, on the flip side, I'm going to put myself out there. I'm going to take a risk, because that is where I find comfort or I find pleasure in going to the new risk versus not taking the risk. So thinking again about balance and imbalance, that major focus versus the minor focus, because you spend so much time thinking about one and not the other, you're taking so much time seeking out one and not the other, that's where the imbalance is going to occur. So the goal is to become balanced and to take in the bigger picture of all four aspects of those human needs. And that is the goal of this channel. So I have one more table to share, and that is just putting some connections together. Some of the connections were made by Objective Personality by Dave and Chan, and then I have added some other aspects to kind of just take a look at and think about for the future, because we'll definitely take a look at different aspects of Objective Personality. We have just scratched the surface here. So in this particular table, we're seeing how the Objective Personality human needs correlates to the terminology used by Tony Robbins. Objective personality will also connect it to the corresponding cognitive functions from Carl Jung, and so you can see how those relate. But then what I also added in here are some other aspects, and I want you to kind of see how they fit. Everything about us is about coins. So we have outside versus inside, outside focus versus inside focus. So there's one aspect. Then we also have behaviors based on decisions that are out there, either outside or inside, and observations, again, which are inside or outside. So in that table, you can kind of see where the source comes from, where it originates. So identity and organize originates internally, versus tribe and gather originates externally. Then we have the observation versus decider. So you can see the two decider, inside versus outside, form one coin, and then the two observer, inside versus outside forms the other coin. And so all of that come together to form a person. A person is made up of inside versus outside sources, both in the decisions or the reasons and values of others, which we'll talk about a little bit more, or the observations, the sensory versus intuition, inside or outside. So to sum up our section right now on the human needs, we have 4 human needs. 2 of them are going to be the major focus in your life. 2 of them are the minor focus. And it's all based on where you find comfort or where you seek to find comfort versus the pain that you're trying to avoid.
You like sugar, huh?
Is there sugar in syrup?
Yes.
Then yes! We elves try to stick to the 4 main food groups. Candy, candy canes, candy corns, and syrup.
That's all we got for this particular week. We have just kind of looked at the very, very corner of objective personality and what it's made up of. I hope that you're able to identify areas in your life and aspects of yourself that you're putting a major focus on versus other aspects that are kind of getting the back seat. I hope that you join me next time when we look at something different. And with that, I will say goodbye. I guess that's it. Is that it? Is that it?